In news from Jamaica, police fatal shootings are trending down. The Independent Commission of Investigations, Indecom, says fatal police shootings dipped below 100 in 2015, which is the lowest occurrence in 16 years.
With the current tsunami of crime currently sweeping across Jamaica, which resulted in 1,616 confirmed murders in 2017 and almost 50 in the first 2 weeks of 2018, many Jamaicans are at their wits' end and through public discourse have voiced their concerns, opinions and made innumerable suggestions as to what the root of the problem is, what sustains it and what can or should be done to remedy this unfortunate situation that faces us as a nation. From firing the security minister and the commissioner of police to declaring a state of national emergency or getting rid of corrupt politicians and cops to reinstituting the death penalty and disbanding Indecom or reduce the level of power they currently wield. And it is this latter suggestion that many persons have been debating feverishly in recent times, as it is widely believed that since the establishment of Indecom, members of the security forces have become wary of possible actions and ramifications. As such, many Jamaicans are of the view that the agency is partly responsible for the upsurge of crime, as they argue that the police have been rendered powerless by the oversight body and are not enthused to face the crime problem head-on. But is this the case, and does the majority of Jamaicans understand the roles, responsibilities and mandate of Indecom? In this video, I will provide an overview of what it is and the role they play. Then I will share my opinion on what I think of their mode of operation.
Mr. Alexander raised the matter of Indecom, and I would like to say, Brother Alexander, that Indecom is a creature of the Jamaican laws, and we used to have a lot of police fatal shootings, and as a result of the work of Indecom and the police, we have seen police fatal shootings take a nosedive in this country.
The Independent Commission of Investigations, Indecom, is a commission of parliament governed by the Indecom Act. The act was passed on April 15, 2010, and the commission began operation on August 16, 2010. The Indecom Act replaced the Police Public Complaints Act that established the Police Complaints Authority, PPCA, which was a civilian body established to probe allegations against members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Indecom is a civilian staffed state agency tasked to undertake investigations concerning actions by members of the security forces and other agents of the state that result in death or injury to persons or the abuse of the rights of persons. And for connected matters, the members of the security forces and other agents of the state for which Indecom provides oversight includes the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, District Constables, the Jamaica Defence Force, JDF, correctional officers at the Department of Correctional Services, DCS.
Jamaica established an independent commission. It's called Indecom, an independent commission of parliament with responsibility to investigate crimes by the police or extrajudicial killings in particular. Because it was felt that as a very basic principle that and it's a basic principle of audit, you cannot investigate yourself in an objective manner.
Indecom is headed by a commissioner who is appointed by the Governor General after consultation with the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition, from persons of high integrity who possesses the qualifications to hold office as a judge of the Supreme Court of Judicature of Jamaica. The commissioner shall hold office for a period of 5 years and may be reappointed for periods not exceeding 5 years at a time. The commissioner is assisted by an assistant commissioner and directors of complaints who have responsibility for a region. The 4 regions are Eastern, which includes Kingston, St. Andrew, Portland and St. Thomas; Southeastern, which includes St. Catherine, St. Mary and St. Anne; Central, which includes Manchester, Clarendon and St. Elizabeth along with St. Anne; and Western, which includes St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover and Westmoreland.
One of the word is reform and the other is transform, and they're not the same.
The vision of the mission states a grounded culture of accountability for the state's use of power. Its mission statement reads as follows: effective and independent investigations of the state's use of power in a way that promotes accountability, fosters respect for human rights, and earns the confidence of citizens and agents of the state. Its core values are integrity, competence, impartiality, transparency, efficiency, accountability, and mutual respect. The Indecom Act prescribes procedures for members of the public to make complaints to the Commission regarding incidents of misconduct and methods of handling complaints. Complaints made to Indecom can be resolved by way of recommendations for a charge, disciplinary action, no charge or disciplinary action, or recommendation for procedural changes.
If you do and discharge your duties properly, you have nothing to fear from Indecom.
The Indecom Act prescribes procedures for members of the public to make complaints to the Commission regarding incidents of misconduct and methods of handling complaints. Complaints made to Indecom can be resolved by way of recommendations for change, disciplinary action, no change or disciplinary action, or recommendation for procedural changes. Complaints can also be resolved informally, on initial intervention by informal resolution or withdrawal. The Indecom Act stipulates that an incident of misconduct by a member of the security forces or of a specified official includes an occurrence which results in the death of or injury to any person, or that was intended or likely to result in the death of or injury of any person, involves sexual assault, involves assault or battery, results in the damage to property or the taking of money or other property, in the opinion of the Commission not listed above, in an abuse of the rights of the citizens. Indecom investigates 24 different categories. These are abuse of office, breach of the Indecom Act, destruction of property, illegal search, neglect of duty, road death collision, shooting injury, unlawful detention, arson, corruption, discharge of firearm, fatal incident, perversion of justice, seizure of property, threat, and unlawful wounding. The Commission is funded by Government of Jamaica.
Part funded by Jamaican government, but also supported by international partners.
From the Consolidated Fund. It also receives support from international partners such as the Department for International Development, the United States Department, International Narcotics and Law Enforcement, the European Union, and the Canadian International Development Agency. It
was felt that the institution within the police that investigated itself and would always exonerate police was not a sufficiently robust mechanism to maintain the trust between police and the society.
How does one measure the success of Indecom? Externally, persons might consider the number of convictions that have been secured as the measuring stick. However, internally, the success isn't measured by the number of convictions, but by how much change has been achieved. Have dangerous practices and procedures that were reported on the decrease, or have they been rectified? Can complainants be assured that there was a thorough, impartial, and objective analysis based on reports to Indecom? Public concerns raised or evidence uncovered?
It has solved a lot of issues in respect of the levels of killings, because clearly there are more circumspect decisions that are taken in terms of planning operations, etc. While recognizing, and this is of course important to recognize as well, that where you have violent criminals, that police must be able to defend themselves.
The Commission has the authority to charge members of the security forces or agents of the state, as culpable and discreditable conduct will be exposed during the search for the truth. However, before a charge is laid, Indecom determines whether there is a likelihood for a conviction and follows the Director of Public Prosecutions' published standards for charging. Indecom has successfully convicted 16 officers, of which one was appealed this year and a retrial was sought. The first murder conviction was secured in 2016. There are still some 80 cases currently before the court for various offences.
The JCF is a body a century and a half old. And indeed, the JCF has had increasing numbers where crime rate has gone up.
With so few members of the security forces being charged, how else are investigations concluded? There are many cases resolved by Indecom with no adverse findings against officers. In the first 9 months of 2017, January to September, Indecom completed by way of Commission's report 697 cases, of which 93.1% had no adverse findings against officers to result in charge or disciplinary action. This means that in 649 cases, the Commission recommended no charge or disciplinary action against the concerned officers. Cases may also be closed by initial intervention, be withdrawn, or be mediated.
As a matter of fact, in the last quarterly report from Indecom, they have indicated that 94% of the shootings that have been reported to them, they have found nothing wrong with those shootings, and the police have been discharged without any charge.
The Commissioner of Indecom, Terence Williams, will gladly say to you, let's not engage in the simplistic formula for measuring success. That is, by the number of police officers disciplined, charged or convicted. That would mean there is a preconceived notion of guilt and the attendant consequences. Let us measure success in ensuring that every case has a proper, fair and robust investigation.
This point was made very clear in the Michael Gale case. The Michael Gale case also pointed out the fact that Jamaica, almost more than any other country, has a need, a greater need than anywhere else, to show that you have independent and effective investigations, because Jamaica has a very high rate of police-involved killings.
Are police officers fearful of Indecom? Yes, many. Does this affect the execution of their duties? Many will argue that it does. Does Indecom have too much power? Many seem to think so. Has the inception of Indecom contributed to the increased crime rate in the country? I cannot determine that, as I don't have the empirical evidence to say yea or nay. However, what I can say though is that since the inception of the agency, there has been a general decline in the nation's average murder rate when compared to the same number of years prior to Indecom becoming operational in 2011. The average annual murder rate for 2004 to 2010 was 1,554 per year, while from 2011 to 2017 it was 1,226. Thus, there was an average of 300 less murder victims since the introduction of Indecom. The average murders per 100,000 for the pre-Indecom period was 57.90% compared to 45.86 during the Indecom period. Many will argue that these are just statistics and they don't reflect other crimes being committed in the country, and they would be absolutely right. JSAF statistics also reveal that the number of police officers killed has significantly declined since the inauguration of Indecom. The cold hard facts points to only a small percentage of investigation of officers ending up with criminal charges, and of the 165 police-related killings in 2007, no firearms were recovered in 40% of those incidents.
Jamaica had been breaching the right to life for many years.
With this being said, I think that there are many professional, dedicated, hardworking members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. But on the flip side of that, there are many wolves in sheep's clothing in the force, many of whom are involved in extrajudicial killings, police excesses, and a myriad of illegal activities. And these members need to be identified and weeded out as best as possible. There is a delicate balance and a thin line in the fighting of crime, and mistakes will be made. But the police force do need an oversight body, independent of the JSAF, to keep the minority of criminal cops at bay.
Breaching the right to life for many years because we did not have independent, effective investigations. So if you were to close down Indecom and have no independent body with effective powers, then you would immediately thrust Jamaica into a regime where we return to a situation where the government of Jamaica will be breaching the life of Jamaican citizens.
A disciplined police force cannot operate contrary to law and in a state where some of its members are in continuous disaffection. Resisting and scapegoating the oversight mechanism will only delay the needed change and distract from the real causes of crime. So yes, Indecom has its place, but so does hard, decisive and shrewd policing. But there must be context and balance. But that is just my opinion anyways.
Indecom should stay because Indecom is required by the Constitution. Say a policeman takes the life of someone, that taking of the life must have an investigation where the investigator has no institutional or hierarchical connection to the person being investigated.
This video was made possible through the continued generosity of my patrons. To become a patron, follow the link in the description below.
The struggle is real. Now watch you know. A rapper crapper they represent for teach them. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, so make sure you subscribe. The channel is real. Come back for more.